What's up everybody and welcome to another episode of Raudeza Reviews. I'm Raudeza. Now I mentioned this in my previous review. Cowboy Bebop is easily the benchmark for any great anime, and in fact, it's one of the greatest animes ever made. What makes this particular anime so unique and so fantastic is that it perfectly blends style and substance, mood and atmosphere, and really redefines a genre within a genre, what I like to call the Eastern Western, but in space. And that's to say nothing about this wonderful ensemble cast, this motley crew of bounty hunters that somehow found each other in the world. Each of them is very unique, they have their own backstories, sometimes tragic, dealing with some very tough issues, which is one of the things that I found most fantastic. Now of course they're all fantastic, but I think that these two are probably one of the fan favorites for various reasons. I love that they brought a lot of emotional gravitas to the show, and you can't just write them off as comic relief. Actually, their backstory is very heartwarming. Now look, I don't want to keep crapping on Netflix because I think they did some things right, but when they gave us this abomination, yeah, I can understand the backlash.
Spike Spiegel!
No. Spike Spiegel. Not anymore.
Yes, you are. You're Spike, Cowboy, Bounty Hunter for hire. Wake up! I have a job for you. Bounty.
Mine?
Bad man's big reward. We have to find the butterfly man. Boo! Danger, danger!
Too
We have to find Velazio before he does spooky bad things.
Yeah, shut up is right. I can see why somebody at Netflix finally came to their senses and canceled season 2. I'd prefer to think that that version of Cowboy Bebop doesn't exist, but it does. And it's always in my mind. Honestly, I'd give anything to unsee that. Anyways, today we're going to be reviewing Good Smile Company's pop-up parade version of Ed and Ein from Cowboy Bebop. Let's take a closer look. Now, very similar to Spike Spiegel, they've gone full-on anime in terms of the rendition of this line, but of all the characters, Ed is drawn very unique. She's actually more anime-esque, and you can definitely tell in the large glowing amber eyes, which look fantastic, the little circles of blush around her cheeks, that wonderful smile, the hair sculpt is fantastic, the color palette is just magnificent. I love the details in the goggles, definitely the green out lenses look fantastic, it really offset, the color palette here is fantastic. This is just a happy thing to look at. Ein really doesn't have that much dialogue in the show, and I don't know if Ed can understand him, but their interactions are wonderful and they're very heartfelt. Again, this is the emotional gravitas of the show. This rendition looks absolutely fantastic. I love the head sculpt. The profile here is really well done, and it's hard to decide how to actually pose this figure because there's so much great detail. I love the collar, which supposedly carries the data, and again, the paw prints just look fantastic. He looks like a giant plush dog. This is awesome, guys. Definitely a focal point. I really love the lower section of this piece, just like the upper portion where you see that brilliant smile. The lower section really tells me a lot of how whimsical and how lovable this character is. I also love the different textures. You have the wet look of her shorts, and then of course she's always walking around barefoot. And I really love the detail in the skin tones. The shading is done perfectly. The feet, the fact that they're actually raised just a little bit, like she's just doesn't have a care in the world, and this is totally her character. It's just fantastic, guys. I really love this aspect of this piece. Now, I wouldn't say you have to run out and mirror this piece, but for this price point, I have to say, there's a lot of detail on the reverse side. Just look at the hair sculpt. I mean, it's absolutely wonderfully done. You get a greater appreciation of the shading and how much care went into it. And I also have to say, the shirt that she's wearing, I didn't mention the textures before, but they're really well done, especially in the folds. You also get a greater appreciation of the textures when you look at the wet leather look of her shorts and the shirt, and the way that she attaches to the base. Overall, this is a really good job. Now again, as I mentioned with the Spike Spiegel character or the figure, the bases are not very intricate at all, and they really have no symbolism. If you were just looking at it, you wouldn't think it's a character from Cowboy Bebop, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Now we're going to be reviewing all these figures eventually, but I do have to say I like the fact that they're just very simple hexagonal bases, and I think when you put them all together, they're going to look really great. Also, if you configure them the right way, they're going to look amazing. I mentioned this in my previous review, and I like to talk about basically budgeting a little bit because I know that this collecting can be very expensive. Most of the Cowboy Bebop figures are very expensive, they're very high-end, and they're fantastic. But if you want a nice alternative with a lot of detail, don't take too much space on your shelf, and just really awesome looking Cowboy Bebop figures, then this is definitely for you. These are great low-end, obviously budget figures, but they don't look like it. There's enough detail here because they do look absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to get the other set. We're going to be doing Jet Black and obviously Jill Valentine very soon. Faye Valentine. That's another series altogether. Sorry guys, seeing the Netflix version of Ed after so many months kind of triggered me and got my wires crossed. Anyways, before I go, I just want to thank the folks over at Big Bad Toy Store for sending this wonderful piece over for review. And if you're interested in this and other collectibles, please visit www.bigbadtoystore.com. Alright everybody, so that's my official review on Good Smile Company's Pop-Up Parade version of Ed and Ein from Cowboy Bebop. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next Rauteza Reviews.